what we're looking at right here is the start of my roasted spaghetti sauce that I'm making for supper tonight. I have tomatoes in here that most of them I just picked off of our cherry tomatoes, which is funny to me because a couple months ago Nathan and I both said we didn't really care for the cherry tomatoes, but they have been the most prolific tomatoes so far. So I got tomatoes and some spices and vinegar and a little bit of oil in there, and the last thing I'm gonna add is some basil. Fresh. I'm picking it fresh here. That's all I'm gonna add for now. I'm going to, now this is not, I'm kind of just making this recipe up. I looked one up, but I didn't have all the ingredients, so, and they recommend roasting it in a glass dish in the oven. I don't want to heat the house up any more than I have to. So we'll put a lid on it and walk it over to my sun oven right here. I'm sorry if that glares. Okay, they're putting that in the sun oven. I'm still learning the ins and outs of the sun oven here. So I just got that in the sun oven. The sun oven says it's only at 250, so I'm gonna try readjusting it here, seeing if I can't get it a little better angle. This is what the tomato sauce being blended looks like. It was in the sun oven for probably about 5 hours. When I took it out, it was at 150 degrees, so it definitely didn't stay at 250 or 300 the whole time, but it looks done enough. Welcome to our weekly garden tour. Our green beans are doing good. They look a little rough, but we picked green beans 2 days ago, and we've got twice the amount of beans that we had last week, and it looks like we're gonna be able to pick beans again here either tomorrow or the next day. Then our replanting of beans, more of them came up this week. Here's a little one, and these are weeds. Our cucumbers are growing nice. We don't actually have any cucumbers yet, but I think they will be soon. Some of them are doing better than others, but for the most part, they're doing pretty good. And this is our cayenne pepper. We do have some cayenne peppers on here, but none of them are ripe. This is doing surprisingly well for when it was how stunted it was when we planted it. And then this is our lavender again. It's growing good. This is our tomato that's out front. I'm not sure what kind it was because the raccoons were destroying it, the rest of them. So I don't know what this one ended up being. But we do have a little green tomato in there. It's got a lot of blossoms. It's the first time I think I've ever picked a sucker off.
Here's our first blooms on these cucumbers.
Well, Jerry's done a pretty good job of getting them to climb this trellis here.
We haven't got any more strawberries this week, but we recently, well, it was just like looking at video from like maybe 3 weeks ago, and it's hard to imagine how the strawberry bed used to look, because it's filled in a lot here in the last little bit. And I noticed this week that my spider plants are blooming. We still haven't got our basil
harvested and preserved for the winter. We're still debating whether we're dehydrating it or making some kind of pesto or even just freezing it whole. We haven't really decided yet for sure. Maybe we'll do some of each kind. But we really need to get on that because we did lose a basil plant last week. So
We picked, what we did was we picked a whole bunch of those flower heads like this. We just picked raw.
they're all over the ground now.
This is that Genovese basil, and it looks really nice. It's not as thick as this one, but the mammoth. But I don't remember ever having basil as thick as this mammoth is this year.
The sweet potatoes have really taken off this week. Some of them are 2 or 3 times as big as they were last week. So we should be seeing vining pretty soon, I think. Instead of planting them even, I should have offset one row from the other row. That way they would have had a little bit more room. It's too late now for this year, but depending on how well these perform, maybe it would have been better to offset them where they would have had a little bit more room. But hindsight is 2020. Our zucchini, they're growing well. They're producing a couple of zucchini each every other day, every third day. They are starting to show some signs of damage, but it's not really surprising seeing, I don't remember exactly what day it was this week, but we were out in the garden and we looked at the patty pan squash and there was vine borer damage. So we just ripped it out and fed it to the chickens. We were hoping, or at least I was hoping, that would prevent the zucchini from getting sick or infested, but it looks like the zucchini may have gotten some damage. There's some damage on this one. I don't know if there's on that one. This, see, there's some damage right here on that one. So we'll see how long the zucchini makes it. So our tomatoes, this one is starting to take off. It's probably about twice the size of the other tomato in this bed. There's been no red tomatoes yet, but there are a pretty good amount of green tomatoes on this one. So hopefully soon we'll have some Amish paste tomatoes to make some sauce with. I did come out and pick a couple handfuls of tomatoes this week, and I made a sauce with it and tried it in the sun oven, and it turned out really well. I was surprised. So I will be doing that again and probably trying to film a recipe or share a recipe, because that is a really good recipe. That is a really good recipe that I have found.
All 3 of these beds are empty, and we filled them with mower scraps yesterday. Plus these are empty. Still thinking these are probably gonna be garlic beds.
I need to get that ordered.
Most of the potatoes in this bed came up. This is the last one we planted. It looks like about the same number of these came up. These were the ones that we got that had already started growing, and they have such a poor showing. Like, there was almost all of them had longer than my hand growth on them, and what is there, like 6 plants in here that came out, and these ones have just done excellent. This bed is like first beds we started.
This is the oldest one.
But this is also the oldest bed.
And, this was just potatoes that I had cut up in the house, and I still use most of the potato. And 14 of the 16 plants made it. One of them, maybe both of them, but I know one of them, the shoot came up and then ended up dying. I'm not sure what exactly happened to it. Maybe it's because I looked and I damaged it when I was peeking. Because I had seen it and then I looked and then it died. So that could be my fault. I'm not sure. Our peppers,
Are changing.
yeah, they're starting. There's a couple of that are starting to turn orange. But the pepper plants are looking real good. we got little peppers here, and this one's loaded with peppers. And it's got more green ones.
Those are the Charleston Hots on the outside corners here. We showed you one, and then this other one. I don't remember what this is, do you?
It does not say what it is.
In the center we have the Jimmy Nordello, which I don't know if I can get in here and get shot. There's some on that Jimmy Nordello.
This is some kind of hot pepper, but I don't remember what.
It looks like it might be just some of their cayenne. There's this lemon balm here.
Here's our eggplant. This one's about ready to harvest. I'm gonna let it go for maybe another week. I like it to be a little bit bigger, but there's 3 total. Or no, here's
There's
another one.
1, 2, 3.
So there's 3 big
4,
ones, and then there's
5.
some little ones.
There's still a pretty good amount coming off this plant, and it's still blooming.
But I know that people tell you to grow what you eat, and I will agree with that to an extent. But Nathan and I, neither one of us had ever tried eggplant, and we had just bought it on a whim. We weren't sure we'd like it, and we love eggplant. We had no idea. So if you're curious about something, go ahead and try it. Now, I wouldn't recommend growing 25 plants or whatever, but just trying like this eggplant, this was a good idea, and for sure we will be growing more next year.
These are the Corno di Toro peppers. They look like a jalapeno. That one needs harvested, but they look like a jalapeno, but they don't have the heat like a jalapeno. I thought they were pretty good.
They're the beautiful sunset.
This is the cat mascot, Sir. Yesterday when we mowed the grass, I had mowed this section of the yard around the garden, and I didn't notice, but when we were walking over here, I noticed that there's 2 or 3 red cayenne peppers. I guess there's only 2, but that's exciting that we're gonna have cayenne peppers soon. And then I think it's been 2 weeks ago we harvested the other peppers. This one is still staying green. I'm gonna leave it because it's not as big as it could be, but it's still not turning chocolate, so I don't know what's up with it. This is our extremely tall tomato here. I'm not super short, but I'm also not super tall, so this tomato is fairly tall for what I was expecting, because most of the tomatoes over here didn't.
I think those cages are 5 foot.
So Nathan thinks these cages are about 5 foot tall, and it goes another foot up in the air. And as much as I wasn't sure about growing these, because neither one of us care to have cherry tomatoes on salads or anything, we will be growing these again next year, because especially this plant, but both of these plants have been producing tons of tomatoes. Almost all of the tomatoes that we've gotten this year to eat have been off this cherry tomato. I guess they're the large cherry tomatoes, and they're not as small as what I think of when I think of a cherry tomato. So I don't mind cooking with them because they're not too bad to cut the tops of them off. And I came out here yesterday and I harvested at least a couple handfuls of them, and it's already got more red tomatoes that'll be ready probably tomorrow. So I will be growing this tomato again next year because I am super impressed with this. And
Another one that we wouldn't have grown without just a little bit of encouragement.
I think what happened, I probably wouldn't have bought the seeds, but we did grow these from seeds. And my gardener had been running a sale at the end of the season last year, and they were 50% off. And they're at 99 cents per pack seeds. They're not It's not expensive, but this is one of the varieties they had left over, so I went ahead and bought one, and I am really impressed with this cherry tomato, or large. It's called a large red cherry tomato, but I am really impressed with this. I'm not gonna go so far as to say it's my new favorite tomato, but I'm really impressed.
I'm gonna take you around and show you the other one, because I think I can get a better view of the other large red cherry. But they come on like this, and they're all pretty uniform in size by the time they're finished. They ripen from the back forward, but this one is just a little bit out from being ripe, and so you can get an idea of the size. Yeah, the cherry tomatoes I've had before were just absolutely tiny, smaller than that. And I think that these are black icicles. I'm not super impressed with these. This one seems to be really prone to the blossom end rot. And I've treated all of them the same, and this one just hasn't bounced back. It had the same soil treatment. And
neither one of its neighbor.
Neither side.
I mean, this one does have some, but not nearly as many.
The Roma type tomatoes have made a lot more problems with blossom end rot.
It's finally turning.
Yeah, I saw that.
I was really excited to grow these, and I will still grow these again next year, because I don't think these two tomatoes got a fair shake, because they were stunted by it was my choice, or our choice. They were stunted by the location, and that is our fault. It is not the fault of the tomatoes. So I will be trying these again next year, and they're doing okay. They're, for sure, as you can tell, these were planted about 3 weeks before the cherry tomatoes, and the cherry tomato is coming out of the cage, and then this one's only 2/3, halfway up the cage, something like that. I will be growing these again next year. They're just performing okay. But this is exciting to me, because I have been watching this tomato for 3 weeks, and it is finally starting to turning here. It's not the prettiest looking tomato, but it is going delicious, I'm sure. If you can kind of see this non-mowed area, this is where the pumpkin, our Cherokee Tan Pumpkins from Deep South Homestead, they had sent us the seeds to try. They just wanted to get them out into the public again. But this pumpkin, there's 4 plants total. They're starting to make blossoms and put on pumpkins. We got them in late though, so we will be growing these again next year, just to try them out again, and hopefully getting them in before the second week of June or whatever it was. But they've grown a huge vine.
I mean, even with us turning it back in down here, I started it right there, and it ran down here and around this way. One of the other ones went that way, but that one runs clear down here and back into this one. So
here's our blackberries. They haven't really grown since we planted them, but it's been, I think, 2, maybe 3 weeks since we planted them, so they'll start growing eventually. I am really impressed with these blueberries. I wasn't expecting to get much of a harvest this year. I knew there was a couple on them when we bought but we've gotten a lot more than I thought we were going to.
a couple more.
Those are tiny.
Look how tiny this one is. It's all the more developed, but it turned the right color. These ones just didn't do as well. I don't remember which ones these were. So there's no ripe ones on this one, but the plant looks fairly healthy. At least especially for how many times these got dug up.
And then, I don't remember exactly what this one is either, but it is absolutely loaded. either next week or the week after, we'll have a ton of, at least for this year, a ton of blueberries, because this one's set fruit all over the place.
And we'll give you a look at the elderberries here real quick.
Some of them, it's weird to me. This is the first time we've gotten, but like that one has a whole ton, and then this one has maybe 10. It's just so weird to me that, like, then this one has a whole bunch.
There's our first elderberries grown on this property. We got some dried ones last year, but
I just lost them.
Probably gonna have to buy them again this year if we use all of our dried ones, because I don't think we're gonna get enough to make a whole bunch of elderberries here. It looks like all of our elderberries are gonna produce, like that one's only gonna produce maybe 3, but all of them are gonna produce some elderberries. Another plant for health here. Hear that, ET? For health, don't mow them over.